Do you believe in life after love, to love, do? I can feel something inside me say, episode 4 is gonna be good, oh. Here we go. This episode gets real for like too much of it. Talk about hairless animals. Recommend something warm for you.
I used to think if I couldn't find hope, I should just let it all go. I used to think if I couldn't make dreams come true, I should just let them all go. When life seems impossible, look from a new angle, change just one little thing. When life feels intolerable, find your true source of love. Concentrate, focus on love. Center now, focus on love. Dedicate, focus on love.
I've got a case of the sniffles here, but it's not gonna stop me, you know. Put in my Michael Jordan flu game face. Instead of game 6, it's episode 4 though, which is just as important, probably just as memorable. Will go down in history the same way. Seasons are changing. I don't even know if it's a cold again. I just had a cold, or if it's allergies, but seasons are changing, you know, it's getting colder. I've also got a cat, and I'm allergic to cats. Which seems silly, but worth it, you know? Gotta put up with the rain to get the rainbow. Or put up with the sneezes to get the cuddles. Maybe I've gotta shave her or something to make this work. Shaved animals, you seen this mess? I remember the first time I really saw a shaved animal. I was a teenager on the bus home from school, and I was thinking what a bear would look like without its fur. Like any normal person would be thinking. So I Googled and ooh-wee. I was not disappointed. I think it looks better, honestly. Less intimidating, a lot more character to it. I feel like you'd be able to tell bears apart, probably. Recently I saw a picture of a chicken running around with no feathers. What a sight that was. Birds are terrifying, man. Bald birds especially. I love all animals, don't really have many fears outside of death and balding, but fuck. Put a bird near me, I'll get uncomfortable. I once knew someone who had a parrot with some sort of feather or skin disorder. This thing needed an exorcist. And it knew I thought that. It would stare at me with its weird, uncooked, fleshy bird skin, and I would just grow more and more uncomfortable not knowing what it wanted to do. There's just enough life in those eyes for me to think it can plan something. And I doubt birds ever plan anything good. Cats can pull off the bald look, though, but only if they're fit. You know, for my chonkers out there, you gotta keep your clothes on. You got fur up. Eyes, they seem like they don't have fur, even though they do. That's how off they look. They look like a bat had sex with a koala. Tell me that's not exactly what an eye looks like. They don't even know what eyes are. Like, they don't know how to classify it. They keep going back and forth. It's like this thing's in danger. Like, it's almost done as a species. That's how long it's been around. They still don't know what it is. So probably me 1, Darwin 0 here. It's not evolution. It's just at some point bats and koalas mingling in the trees. Probably a full moon. Mood was set. Then you got eyes. Speaking of the mood being set, the recommendation this episode is going to be something warm. That's all I'm giving you. If you don't listen to the end of this podcast to find out what that could be, something wrong with you. Especially with that segue, koala and bat sex, segued into the recommendation. That's got to keep you around for at least a little bit. The podcast went live between this recording and the recording of the 3rd episode. Basically, I recorded the first 3 episodes weekly the way I would have during this month of October here, or the way that I'm going to continue to. And then once I had the 3rd one done, I got set up with the media host, put it up, sent them off to get them onto iTunes, Google Podcasts, Spotify, which, please, if you haven't yet, give it a subscription. If you've got iTunes, which I assume everybody does, go rate it, leave a review. If I can get onto new and noteworthy, apparently that's a thing, big thing for podcasts to start. So that would be a great boost. But yeah, over the last week, it's been quite interesting because now it's out there and I'm getting views or listens from all over and different people. And my friend Sean was giving me some feedback on the first episode of the podcast, and one of the ideas that I was throwing out there. And he said it made him think of a Confucius quote. We have 2 lives, and the second begins when we realize we only have one. And that really resonated with me. At its core, it's about being aware that you're not going to live forever and you only get so much time on this planet, so make it count. If I could change the quote, I'd make it, we have 2 lives, and the second begins when we commit to making the most of the first. That change of stages of your 2 lives doesn't happen in a moment. I'm not saying it couldn't. There are certainly some wake-up calls you receive in life that can make that transition happen in an instant, but more often than not, that switch is a culmination of multiple decisions made over time that puts you on the right track. With relationships, both romantic and platonic, make sure you are not wasting away your one life with the wrong person or people. Staying in a shitty relationship just because it's easier than making the change is something you're going to live to regret at some point. Not trying to get back into someone's life who you want to just because your pride is going to hurt to think about years down the line. With your health, putting off eating healthier or being more active is definitely something that someone who hasn't realized they only have one life does. If you're aware that you've only got one, then there's no reason to not do those things. You know, living a reckless lifestyle and partying is fun and all, but a time has to come where you make slightly better decisions. I'm not saying don't do dangerous things. If you're an adrenaline junkie, live your life, baby. I'm not telling you to not party either, you know, party on, Wayne. But make sure you do things with a purpose. Don't get stuck doing things just 'cause, especially if they're detrimental to where you want to be eventually, or what you want to be doing with your life every day, day in, day out. With your career, if you're unhappy at your job, fucking get out of there. I don't care what it is. I don't care if you're a doctor, if it's helped you get to a certain point in life, if it's making you miserable and it has been for a long time. If you don't see a way where it brings you joy in your life anymore, you need to leave. For most of us, we'll spend as much, if not more, waking hours at our jobs than we will at our homes. And if that place is not improving your life in any way that you couldn't get from something else that would make you happier, then hand in your notice. Don't be the person that wakes up when they're 60 and asks yourself why the hell you stuck with the things you did, all while knowing it wasn't what you wanted, even at the time. You only get so many wake-up calls in life. Whether it's wake-up calls to live happier or live healthier or something different, if you keep sleeping in, the phone's going to stop ringing and you're going to wake up one day to realize you missed the boat. And there's not going to be much you can do at that point besides live with it. And that's going to be a tough realization. That being said, there's so much time to realize that. So much time. You don't have to be in your 20s or in your 30s or in your 40s even. There's lots of life to live, but the problem is it could end quickly and without notice. So don't waste your time doing something you don't want to be doing. Big one for me is the job thing too. I had to leave a job that I was miserable at, even though it had me set up way better than I am now, but it was so mentally draining. And with the way that technology is rolling along and the way that the future's going, jobs being lost everywhere, universal basic income being talked about. Like, there's no guarantee that we're even going to have to work as much as we do now in 20 years. So if you can start severing that tie with working to live a little bit earlier, then I encourage it for sure. Throughout all of my teen years and into my 20s, I dealt with a lot of depression. It's gotten a little more under control now, for sure. I'm sure a lot of that has to do with this anxiety monster that's climbed in my playpen, but regardless, I've been doing better with the depression. And it really reached a boiling point when I was 21. I remember this moment. It's a really strong memory. I spilt a glass of milk and I just started crying uncontrollably. It had nothing to do with the situation itself, but more the mere fact that I felt I couldn't do anything right in life and nothing was going my way, to the point where I couldn't even enjoy a cool glass of milk. It was around that time I started looking at all the little instances that happen during these lives we live and started doing something new. It may sound weird, but I started saying thank you. Sometimes audibly, sometimes under my breath, sometimes in my head, depending on the situation and where I was. But basically, what it's done is gotten me to take notice of all the times during any given day that something could go wrong or could go worse. And it's made me appreciative and made me realize that not everything is going to shit. And in turn, made all those moments when the little things do go wrong, when I do spill my chicken noodle, or when I do miss the bus by 10 seconds, it makes those moments not suck so much. Because I've taken a second to appreciate when I made the bus right at the exact time, or I tripped over the cat but was able to not spill a drop of that soup, when I reached for my drink clumsily. What a word that is, by the way. Holy. How is that not everyone's favorite word? Clumsily? Say it right now. Do it. Clumsily. Doesn't even sound real. When I reach for my drink clumsily and almost knock the glass over but don't, those instances where things could have gone much worse happen so much more often than the times that they do go bad. And it's good to stay cognizant of that. Makes it a lot easier to be happier during the days and not get down, not get caught up on the little things. Don't sweat the small stuff. Don't cry over spilt milk. Easier said than done, but making sure that you appreciate the little things is going to go a long way to help that. Because really, it's the small things that make up life. Like the big things in life, they take time to happen and to develop. So the big moments aren't moments, they're like big periods. And then you realize them later, or you realize them when reflecting on them, that, oh yeah, that was big. Or, that person was big in my life, or that trip or whatever it is, that was big. But it's the small moments that happen all throughout the day that make your day what it is. And if you can enjoy those, or not be so caught up in them, don't be so emotional with them, then you're just going to live a happier life. If you can joke around a little bit more, not take things so seriously, you don't have to live the same way that everybody else does. Joke with the host at the restaurant, joke with the person in line at the gas station. People get in line at the gas station, right? I don't know how many people go into the gas station to pay, but joke with the person while getting a coffee. Be a little weird. Have some fun. Don't be normal. There's no reason to take things so seriously and be a robot. You'll enjoy yourself a lot more if you quit trying to fit in. And the small instances are so much more fun, or your life is so much more fun if you're consistently having fun in small instances. One little joke here, one little line here, all throughout the day makes a huge difference. Whereas if you're just head down and in a bad mood and grumpy in a bunch of little instances, then at the end of the day was trash. Garbage day. Don't have garbage day be every day. Although I guess garbage day is when you're taking the garbage out, so maybe make every day garbage day? Take the garbage out every day? Don't let it sit in the house. Make every day garbage day, so that it's not a garbage day. Make sure all that life garbage doesn't sit around and stink up your head. Take it out. Take it out frequently. Because if you just let it sit there, it's going to get gross. And then you're not going to want to take it out because it's like you've been putting it off for so long and now this mess is just bigger. Garbage pile doesn't get smaller if you don't take it out. More stuff gets added on. Get it out. Take it out. Throw it off the patio. Dump it in a river. Don't dump it in a river. Dump it in the ocean. That's where everybody dumps their garbage. Encourage your friends to take their garbage out. I gotta take the garbage out. Like in my house, not in my head. I gotta take out the head garbage too, but I can see the bag of garbage that I put by the door yesterday and it's still there. Because I was too lazy to take it out. Oh, motivation. What a thing that is. I can almost never find it. This is October 27th, we'll say. Pretty sure it is. Maybe 28th. Maybe 26th. It's October something. Tell you that much. So this is the last podcast recording I'll do during October. And what that means is it's the last podcast recording that I'm doing whilst sober. Not that I'm an alkie or anything, but I haven't had a beer since September, before the spooky month started. And look at me now. You know, look at us. Look at us. We got the podcast going. I did actually get to the gym. For the first time in my life, I went to the gym alone. Probably been to the gym like 30 times in my life before this month, but always with somebody. Because I'm like, I don't know what to do in the gym. But I said, fuck it. Started the podcast this month. Got into the gym. Gone 11 of the last 13 days, which I'll clap for myself. I don't need you to clap for me. Now I just got to be careful that I don't stop because I've told people, you know? Because that's what I like to do. But yeah, I found the motivation this month. And is this, you know, that transition into the second life here? Or is it just a month off of the things that I'd usually be occupying my time with, you know, going for drinks after work or after hockey or just during the week, a dinner with a beer? The motivation's been here this month. And it hasn't been there in the past. Is it me breaking through some of my mental issues a little bit? It's probably a mix of everything, honestly. The goal, and this is the second time I've done Sober October, and last year something happened during the month that could never have expected or prepared for, and that really flipped my entire life upside down. I'm still recovering from that, still trying to come to grips with where my life is now compared to where it was before October of last year. So I didn't really get to see what that month was like, living my normal life and being sober. And so this month I was really excited to do it again because it would be insane if something like that were to happen again. But so this month I was really able to do it. And the goal wasn't like to not drink necessarily. It was more to spend my time better. I drink often because I work at a brewery and I'm in my late 20s, but nothing out of the ordinary, nothing crazy. But the goal is to, basically just have more time to do different things. I've succeeded so far, and I guess the goal is to use this month to set up a routine that I can carry forward and add in my regular social activities and keep the routine going. And I think it's good to do a month like this once a year, maybe twice a year. It's not an easy month, and it's the fact that I know for this month I'm not drinking at all. So it's not even a question. You know, I can go a week during whenever, but it's if I don't actually set that I'm not drinking, then an instant's going to come up during a week where it's like, I want to have a drink. No reason not to. This is the month where there's reason not to, and that helps me really get into the other things in life. So that's motivation, I guess. Not drinking has been good for motivation. That's a breakthrough right there, eh? Call the scientists. Drinking and weed hinders motivation. Who'da thunk? Who would have known? Seems crazy, I know. It's like, how? How can things that slow your brain down, make you dumber, also affect your motivation? That doesn't make sense. Obviously, that's not the case for everybody. It's the case for me for sure, apparently. But now that, we'll see what happens. We'll see what happens in the next month. Now that I've got this going, this is something that I obviously want to keep up. And since I've sort of put it out there, I can't really stop now because I'm going to hear about it from a lot of people. And I don't want to have to be like, oh yeah, I just got lazy. So hopefully this can be a motivator. Life is really just about finding something to motivate you, really. Some people are born with it. Some people are just born motivated. I don't think they necessarily know what they want to do, but they're motivated to get somewhere, to get to a point. They have that motivation. I've never been somebody that's had the motivation, unfortunately. And I think that's probably a lot of us that just don't have that motivation. We're a little bit lost. You got to try to find that motivation wherever it may come from. It may come from the weirdest of places, or it might come from exactly where you expect it to come from. I've got a friend who's struggling to find the motivation, and he was thinking maybe he just needs to have a kid, because it's easy enough to piss your own life away and put yourself in shitty situations, but to ruin someone else's life, or to not do your all for somebody that depends on you, is a lot harder to do. It's easy to do it to yourself, not to other people, especially a child. I'm not saying go and have a child. You get a dog first. That's definitely my plan. If and when I get into the relationship that's going to lead to a child, if we start talking about it, I'm definitely going to be like, let's go get a dog right now. I hear what you're saying. Babies are cool. We can do everything that leads up to making a baby for sure. Let's do that. But let's not do the actual baby part right now. Not that I'm not on board. I'm on board. I think it's a great idea. I think it could work. But first, let's go get a dog. And we can do that right now. That's how into this I am. Because I think a dog's a great way to set you up for parenthood without having to go trial and error with a baby human. You can do it with a dog's much more forgiving. I don't think you can fuck up a dog mentally as easily as you can fuck up a human mentally. Because, you don't even have to fuck up a human mentally. That's going to happen on its own. Anything you do is just going to change how they're fucked up. So, do the dog first. It'll wake you up early to go for walks, and just like a baby will wake you up early to walk them titties. And then, you got to learn patience with a dog. Potty train it. Watch it grow. Beautiful. Puppy to a dog. Google puppy to dog. I'm sure that's going to have good results. I've Googled kitten to cat. What a time. Puppy to dog, kitten to cat. Baby I to adult I. Google those things. I'm sure those will make you smile. What I was saying there was, if you're having trouble getting motivated, get a puppy. That'll fix your motivation. And if not, it should at least make you happier, right? Get a puppy and name it I do everything I want to do in life. And then when you're out walking your dog, somebody's like, oh, what a cute dog. What's his or her name? You'll be like, I do everything I want to do in life. And they'll be like, what? And you'll be like, I Dealwtdil. Ideiwtdil. Which sounds super Russian. And they'll be like, pardon? And you'll be like, he doesn't have a name. I just got him. That was silly. Why did I name my dog that? Or you'll be like, Ideiwtdil is what I did to motivate me to live the life I wanted to. That's why we're here at the dog park. In tights. Tight jogging pants. Make my butt look good. Have you ever worn tights? I mean, I imagine most of the female listeners have. Most of the male listeners, I'm assuming, haven't. I have. Halloween costume. First. That was a cat. I might leave that in. The plan is to do this podcast. The plan is to add video to it and then have it up on YouTube. I just want to get a few episodes out first, get comfortable here, and then add that in. Obviously, that comes with an expense too, so I need to make sure it all works. But I imagine with the video podcast, the cat's going to get a lot of camera time because she's needy as hell and can't let me just do my own things. If you want to get motivated, don't get a cat. They're comfortable to just sleep all day. They'll make you comfortable to sleep all day. But a cat will cuddle you. And that is not underrated. I don't think anybody underrates cuddling, but it's nice and it's warm. And that brings us to the recommendation for this episode, which means we're also coming to the end, which is so sad. Been an interesting one this time. A little more to the point, I guess. But today's recommendation is something warm. What could it be? It's not cat cuddles. It's not picking up cat vomit either, which I had to do earlier today. What it is what I'm doing right now. It's tea. Wow. Who knew a letter of the alphabet could taste so good? To get more specific, I'll go English breakfast tea with just a little bit of honey in there. But especially now, fall, going into winter, it's getting cold out there. Nothing like a cup of tea to sit and relax with. Or to walk with. You want to go for a walk, but you're like, oh, it's cold. I don't really want to. Throw some tea in a mug and go for a walk. Don't do this thermos to-go cup thing. Put your tea in a mug like you would if you're sitting at home and then take your mug for a walk. That's the way to drink tea. Outside with a mug. Other than that, the podcast is up on iTunes, Google Podcasts, Spotify. If you've got an iPhone or if you've got an iTunes, which I'm sure you all do, go and subscribe, go and rate the podcast, and if you could leave a review, that would be a big help. Other than that, delinquents, it's been real. RIP. Episode 5 next week. Same time. Same place. Unless you're going to be somewhere different next week, same time, different place. Google baby I to adult I because I'm going to do it right now as well. Sing along with the outro music.